Welcome back to the Hard AF podcast. I'm your host, Chelsea VanBuskirk. I'm a wife, a mom of three, and recovering mother hustler on a mission to help millennial moms break free from burnout and reconnect to their feminine power. This show is about healing, spiritual growth, boundaries, and creating a life filled with more joy, ease, and freedom. On today's show, I'm kicking off a new miniseries diving into love and relationships. This episode is a little intro for what's to come, and we'll discuss the importance on showing up authentically in relationships and looking a little deeper on love and the conditions we put on loving others and loving ourselves. Are you ready to love and be loved? Let's go. Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back. I love this beginning time of a new year. It just feels very refreshing, invigorating, and motivating to let's see what I can bring on in my life this year. Let's see what this year has in store for me and kind of gives you this sense of newness and freshness and let's go and let's see what we can do this year, making goals for ourselves, kind of visioning our lives, that kind of thing. So yes, I know we're a few weeks in. Hope everyone's settling into the new year and just feeling great, feeling that good new energy. I thought it would be fun to talk a little bit or do a little mini series getting into depth about love and relationships. Just because, February 14th is around the corner, Valentine's Day, and that's the day that we tend to think of our significant others and the people that we love in our lives and things like that. And so there's a few little things here. There's a few things that I want to discuss when it comes to love and relationships. And all of us are born with an innate need or of longing to feel loved, to be loved, right? And I think that's one of the beautiful things about the human experiences is being able to give and receive love in this world with another person. And it all starts with yourself. So the first thing I'd like to dive into is one, talking about this idea of unconditional love and what that really means, what that looks like, and what that really means for ourselves too, because how we love ourselves is the foundation of how we will attract love into our lives and how we can allow ourselves to be able to receive love or even to give love. And a lot of times we become conditioned from a young age to get a misconception of what love really is. And I feel like a lot of us grow up with this sense that love has to be earned, right? Like we have to do something in order to receive love. And that kind of that's a lesson we have to heal ourselves from and work through as we become adults and kind of know better. It starts off with our parents. And I think it's hard because as a parent myself, and if you're a parent also, it's hard because I feel like we kind of are learning more, right? And want to be different and better than the parents we had. But it's still at the same time when you're a parent, you still can kind of catch yourself sometimes. Cause I know I do applaud my daughters when they get good grades or when they excel at sports and stuff. I definitely clap my hands for them and I cheer them on when they're achieving things. But interestingly enough, sometimes that whole concept of being rewarded for working hard gets ingrained in the other ways, right? And so it's I'm working on figuring out not only to show myself love and value in just my innate worthiness and my innate value just by being myself. I want my kids to feel that too. I want them to know that they are loved and that they are valued, whether or not they get an A or whether or not they excel in a sport or something. I want them to know they have more value than just what they can do. And so, like I said, it kind of starts from when we're younger that we kind of equate that love and value attaching it to doing something for it, right? And there's a teacher that I am a student of, and she teaches a soul contracts class, and she talks about different archetypes that you can embody as you go through your life. And one of those archetypes is the prostitute. So this is kind of reminding me of that archetype of the prostitute, because sometimes we do prostitute ourselves out, not in the sense of a woman of the night necessarily, but essentially our soul, we're literally selling ourselves to get something, right? We're selling our piece of ourselves to receive something in order to get something. And I think taking us back to the ways that we, perform and do things in order to receive love. And it's like we're almost preemptively putting conditions on the love, not only that we give, but that we receive. And the thing is I feel like at the heart of it, or at the soul of it, we want that unconditional love. And we know we can get that unconditional love from our creator, who is pure love, who is that source of unconditional love. Uh, Anything's possible, right? Infinite possibilities of that almighty powerful source that creates life, right? That comes from that unconditional place of love. Like the highest energy that you can have is that unconditional love. And to be able to have that reciprocated and exchanged on a human level with another person is just everything, right? When you can get to a place where you can find a partnership where you are in flow in that state to exchange love in that way, I feel like that's where miracles are born. That's where creation comes from, right? Like, making babies through the physical act of love. So, anyway, going back to it, talking about this unconditional love. And unconditional love is love without conditions. It's not needing to do anything in order to receive love or to be lovable. You just are loved for exactly who you are. And thinking back to this performing for love, how often have you, during the course of your life, have you changed who you are in order to get or receive love? You change things about yourself in order to be liked, to fit in, right? And then when we're doing that for love, then we become loved not for who we really are, and then we're never going to get what we really want because we're conforming in order to feel loved. And so we're not being loved authentically for who we are. And so I think that is one of the most important parts about being true to yourself and being authentic with yourself, not selling yourself short or compromising your values and who you really are as a person, because you want to find somebody that's going to see you fully naked and authentic as who you are. That's how you want to show up so that you can be loved for exactly who you are. You want to be able to be everything you are, the good, the bad, the ugly, and you want to be seen through it all in your intimate relationships with that person. You want to be able to show all those parts of you and to be loved through all those parts of you, right? Because when you think about it, when you're dating and you've got your best foot forward, you're all dolled up, you go date and have a good attitude about everything. And then a couple months in, when the real life starts showing up, like when you're frustrated, when you're angry, how you respond, how you react, your tone of voice, and the things that might trigger your partner because it reminds them of their mother and childhood or whatever. You start to see the realness and the things that happen, and it's challenging. And that's where you kind of start to learn this loving people for them for who they are, right? For their authentic self. No one's perfect. And the thing about intimate relationships is they are our greatest teachers. Think about it. The person that you choose to spend your life with, the person you choose to marry and be in a sacred partnership with and do a family with, like that's the person you're spending the majority of your life with, right? You're only with your parents for a short time and they may still be in your life, but they're not going to be as intimate with you as you are with your partner. And the same thing with your kids. Yes, like, and your kids usually live with you. You guys are in the same home for just a short window of time in your lifespan. And yes, you still have those connected relationships as long as everyone is still, you're having those day-to-day interactions and things like that. But the intimacy, the impact is really with your intimate partner. That's somebody who will hold the biggest mirror up to you. That's going to reflect back all of your shit to you. They're going to challenge you. They're going to trigger you. You do the most healing with that intimate partner. And if you find a good one that's willing to heal and grow with you, you guys will keep leveling up as you make it through the course of life. And it's really beautiful when you can find a person that you can do that with. And it's hard. Relationships are hard. The longer you're with somebody, things ebb and flow. Things are not always rainbows and sunshine. It takes a lot of intention. It takes a lot of effort, a lot of work, and a lot of healing, and a lot effort on both parts. Both parties have to put in the work. And sometimes it takes one partner to really be working on themselves. And then that helps trigger the other partner to start rising up and doing their work too. So you guys can kind of meet back up in the middle. And thinking of my relationship as an example, I've been with my husband since I was 17 years old. So almost 22 years I've been with him, and there have been numerous ups and downs, numerous growing pains. There's been many moments along the way where one of us have wanted to walk away. Sometimes that feels easier to just walk away and start new with somebody else, or to walk away and give up because it's too hard to face stuff and to look at things you don't want to look at. But if you can hold on and dig deep and really look at the things you need to look at, and work on yourself and stay true to yourself and your authenticity, and you're with the right person, you guys will bounce off each other. You will grow from each other. You will help foster each other's growth and expansion. And the things that you can do together in that space is awesome. And I think it's like riding the waves of life. Like there will be things that try to break you apart. You will deal with grief, losing family members, going through health scares, going through financial stress, all these things that you can do and go through living life with another person. If you're able to support each other and work through with each other and empower each other and grow, like it's amazing if you can do the work. It all takes work. but then the outcome is so beautiful, and we're always growing. So I want to acknowledge, like, no matter where you're at in your relationship right now, if you're in a tough rough patch, if you're in a place where you're considering, do I stay or do I go, listen to these coming episodes and see where you're at, and listen to some of these questions I'm going to have you think about, and start really digging deep within yourself to know what that answer is for you, because only you can know. And sometimes you do have to step back from the relationship and do things on your own and just see what happens. I mean, I've had to do that a few times where I was about to walk away from my marriage a number of years ago. And it was me standing in my truth and showing up like, this is who I am. And I feel like I've been performing, and I don't want to do these things anymore. This is not true to me. I'm not in alignment with myself, and I can feel myself outgrowing these roles I'm playing and these things I'm doing. And I had to be really brutally honest with myself first, and then to my partner, to my husband. And it was hard for him to hear. It was so hard for him to hear. And after that initial, I think, like, shock period, and he was able to actually let it sink in, it was like he was able to come back, and we were able to talk and really be honest with each other, and things started to change and things started to look better. And it was like me being able to stand in my truth and being in alignment with myself and speaking my truth to him. Again, like, it was a rattling for him because it kind of it shook him up a bit, but at the same time it was something that he needed to hear, and it helped him grow. It was like it was the thing that he needed to hear to deal with and wrestle with some of the things that he didn't want to see, and it helped him level up and grow. And or we've continued to kind of go back and forth like that. And there was times where he had to show me the mirror on the things that I was doing too. And so it's like we reflect and show each other these things. And so it's like the way we learn to be almost better partners for each other is how learn how to be better humans for ourselves. And so again, so coming back to ourselves, like, it all starts with us, right? You can't change another person. You can't make them do anything. If you are able to manipulate your partner into doing what you want them to do, that's not a relationship. That's not love. You are giving them conditional love. You are placing conditions on the love that you're giving them. And that's not fair. That's not love. Love is reciprocated. Love is reciprocated. It is not earned. It is not something that you perform for. And so looking back at yourself is, do you unconditionally love yourself? Because if you're putting conditions on the love that you give yourself, that's the exact energy that you're giving out, and that will be reciprocated right back to you, this conditional love. What you give is what you get. So if you are in search of having a relationship that's deep, that's meaningful, that's reciprocated, and an unconditional loving relationship, it starts with unconditionally loving yourself first. And that's hard to do. It's very hard to do. A lot of us carry shame and guilt of our past, and it takes, like, healing to look at that. And you have to look at some of the triggers and how are you showing up? How are you hurting your partner because of your hurt? What are the things that you're doing? And how are you acting in such a way where, you kind of have these expectations of, well, if I do this, then I'm going to expect that you give me that. And we can get really in our ego, and that's not love. That's not love. That's conditional love. That's placing conditions on love, right? Like, when you're giving from a place of wholeness, from a place of unconditionally loving yourself, then you're giving out of just loving the other person with no expectations, no attachments to the outcome. I know I've come to realize, like, a lot of the pain points in my relationship with my husband and some of the ways we had been disconnected was I was so hung up on certain outcomes and certain attachments, thinking things had to look a certain way, that he had to do certain things. If he didn't do XYZ, that must mean he doesn't love me. That must mean he doesn't freaking care. But I had to realize that we each have unique ways of being able to give love. So there's the love languages book, which I think is a fabulous tool. I can link that in the show notes, because you can go to his website and take the quiz for free to find out what your top love language is, and your partner can take it. You can find out what their primary love language is. You can have your kids do it. There's, like, a kids version, so you can see, like, what love language your kids, and it's basically how you receive love, how you feel loved is through your primary love language. And so it's a great tool. And the presumption is that when you're in a partnership, you learn your partner's love language. And so then you learn to do more of the things in your partner's love language. But I think it's missing if that's not a full solution, because you're not teaching each other how to receive love in the way that your partner can give it. Because if your partner loves you, they're going to try. They're going to try their hardest. But at the same time, if you love them, you're not going to want them to change who they are. Right. I remember one of the times me and my husband were going through it, and I was picking apart something, like, he didn't respond the way I wanted him to. And it's like, I'm picking apart him as a person. He's not responding in the way I think he should respond, which is the way that I would respond. But he's not me. He's a unique person. He's his own person and he does things a certain way. And it doesn't mean he doesn't love me or care for me. He's showing me love and care in different ways. And I had to learn to open my eyes to see the ways that he was showing me love and showing up and doing all these things, trying so hard. And when I was stuck in my tunnel vision of only wanting to see and receive love the way that I thought it should be given, I was missing it. I was missing all the ways he was trying to show up for me. And then not only was I missing the ways he was trying to show love for me, and so I was not receiving the love he was giving, I was also like batting all the love he was giving me back at him. Like he wasn't good enough, just chipping away at him, criticizing him, and making him feel like a failure, like he just will not be ever be able to live up to my expectations, making him feel like might not be the man for me because he can't live up to the expectations I'm holding for him because it's just like not who he is as a person. And he starts doubting himself. I'm sharing all this with you because I want you to start thinking about your relationships and see, are there conditions that you're placing in your relationship? Are there things that maybe you're not seeing clearly? And I want to go into more details on some of this because this is something that I really want to start sharing with people is like how to be able to receive as a woman, as a feminine, as a divine feminine, and learning to embody that feminine energy that a lot of us have suppressed for a very long time because of cultural pressures and the way things have kind of evolved. And a lot of us females have been very much more in our masculine energies because we're hyper independent, hyper vigilant, doing all these things ourselves because we can. We want to show that we are just as good and just as capable as men. We can work, we can do all these things. We're trying to break glass ceilings, which is all great. Because guess what? Women can fucking rule the world. We can do it all. We can do it all. We can do anything a man can do, and except for, maybe peeing through a penis, but you know what I'm saying? Like we can literally do anything a man can do, but it doesn't mean we have to. And it also doesn't mean just because we can do everything, we don't need to do everything. Like we've lost our softness, we've lost that femininity, that divine feminine power that we were given to be able to be soft and receive. And so when we're so hyper masculine and in that masculine energy, we're not able to receive love. Like we start repelling and we start almost making our men be more feminine, if we lose that the sexual polarity or just like the polarity of just being able to work in this way where we have a balance in relationship when you have these masculine feminine energies, like it's supposed to be a yin and a yang, it's supposed to be very balanced and reciprocal. And if we're both trying to like run the household or trying to be the masculine energy at the same time, you start repelling, right? It's like the magnets when they're the wrong sides, when they're repelling each other instead of being the opposites where they attract, right? So, anyways, I want you to think about this idea of love being reciprocated. Think of this idea of unconditional love. Thinking on like, are we placing expectations on what the love that should look like, what it should look and feel like? Are we putting expectations on what the love should look and feel like in our relationship? Are we being loved for who we actually are? Are we showing up authentically and letting ourselves authentically show up as who we are? Are we performing for love? Are we doing things that we wouldn't normally do just in order to feel loved and accepted, right? I started thinking about these things because I'm going to talk about in some greater detail, some more deeper layers to some of this stuff and what we can do to start healing some of these things within us and start looking at some of these things. Start recognizing when you're triggered by your partner, what that really is. Start looking, what is that in you that is triggering something inside you? For example, I'll give you something that happens between me and my husband is he wanted to make dinner one night. He was real excited and he gets really like everything has to be exact, perfectly measured out. He follows the instructions to a T where when I'm cooking, unless it's baking, I measure everything like to the gram, right? I use like a scale. But if I'm cooking, sometimes I eyeball stuff. Like I read the recipe. If I'm cooking like dinner or something, I do kind of by taste and smell and I just intuitively cook, right? A lot of times I follow the recipe for the most part, but I don't measure as accurately when I'm baking, when I'm using the scale. He uses like the scale for everything. And so he's trying to cook dinner for me. So he's doing something, showing me love by making dinner. He's expressing his love. He's trying to be helpful, doing things. And then I'm sitting over there, oh, like, I don't think you should be cutting those. I'm like criticizing. I'm trying to be helpful. I think he's like doing it wrong. And I'm trying to like tell him, oh, you should probably do it this way. I'm trying to be helpful. I think I'm being helpful. I think I'm trying to make the job easier for him. But what I'm really doing is emasculating him. I'm criticizing him. I'm making him feel like he can't do it right. I don't trust him. I don't trust that he can figure this out. I think I know more than him. I think he's dumb. That's how he's taking what I'm doing. And in my head, I'm like, oh, I'm trying to be helpful. I'm trying to like, oh, But really, I'm trying to be controlling because I think that I have a better way of doing things because I've been doing this longer. Or you know what I mean? I start getting in my ego thinking like, oh, he's kind of stepping on my toes because I'm usually the cook in the family. And so now he's like taking over the space that I usually excel at, that I'm used to getting like applauded for. And now he's going to steal my thunder almost. Like there's all these little layers of behind what I'm saying when he's just trying to be loving and do something for our family. Like he can do things his own way. And like you think about that too, like when the dads are in charge of the house, the mom goes out for a trip and the dad's going to take care of things. Like, how often are we trying to control everything and make sure he knows exactly how to do everything? He has to do it our way instead of just letting him figure it out, trusting that he's got this and he's going to do it his own way. And it's not going to be the way that I do it, but it's going to be the way he does it. And he's going to get it done, right? He didn't have to cut the thing I think they were like green onions or something. I'm trying to think back to this exact example. But, it's like he can cut them the way he wants to cut them. He can prepare it how he wants to prepare it. And he's going to have to learn on his own, instead of like standing over his shoulder trying to critique him. So just start thinking about things like that, that maybe you didn't know. It's like, I didn't mean to criticize him. I didn't mean to make him feel bad, but I thought I was trying to help him out, like make his cooking journey a little easier by giving him tips or something. I thought I was being helpful, but underneath it, I know that it partly was me just trying to show that like, I know this and this is my expertise and like he needs to learn from me and I know better or whatever. But it was hurting him. It's like, why would he want to keep showing up and trying to do things for me like that if I'm constantly criticizing him and making him feel like he can never get it right? Just some things to think about in your own relationship if you can think of things like that. And yeah, and we'll get into other stuff and some coming episodes. I've got another episode with Heather Posey Ware coming up. We're going to be talking about mirrors and the people that come into our lives and things like that and what they reflect. But we're going to go deeper into this love thing in relationships. There's a lot to talk about here in looking at some of our wounds and how we sabotage things and how we behave in certain ways. There's stuff behind it, right? And so we're going to get into that. We're going to dig into some of this stuff all for our healing and expansion and just learning and just having a good life. Because, like I said, relationships are a big part of our daily life, and having a good, healthy relationship kind of makes everything else in our lives be better, right? Relationships are meant to elevate our life experience. And so, anyway, I hope you guys are all doing well. Let me know if you guys have any questions or if there's something you want me to elaborate more. Like I said, we've got some more stuff that we'll go deeper on this topic here, but if there's anything specific, please send me a DM on Instagram or Facebook. I'm at chelsea.vanbuskirk. And yeah, take notice, see if there's anything that comes to your awareness, thinking about some of the things I talked about here today, and let me know. Give me some feedback and let me know if you've noticed anything or if anything sparked anything for you on this. Are you loving yourself with conditions? Do you think you have the ability to love yourself unconditionally? How are you showing up for yourself? Are you being authentic? Are you being honest with yourself? Are you showing up authentically to let yourself be seen and loved as you truly are? Think about those things. And then think about if you're placing conditions on your partner. Are you placing conditions on people to give love? Start thinking about those things as we go into these next few weeks. But I have so much love for you. Thank you so much for being here today, and I'll see you guys next week. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today on the Heart AF podcast. Please share this episode with anyone you can think of that may need a little hope and encouragement right now. I love connecting with my listeners, so feel free to message me any questions or feedback. If you tag me in your social posts or stories, I will give you a shout out and repost on mine. I can't wait to be back with you next week. Until then, keep choosing love, keep choosing hope, and live heart as fuck.